What do zombies, Motaba, and a guzzling wasteland have in common? They're just like COVID-19.
Join us for Apocalypse Now as we review some of the best and worst pandemic, post-apocalyptic, and general end-of-the-world films and relate them to today's current predicament.
Give us a listen. We might just save your life. And then share it with a friend. Or don't. Whatever. It's not the end of the world.
Join Scott.
And Callum.
And Des. Every Friday for a new episode of Apocalypse Now.
Because you never know.
Hey, sugars. Thanks so much for listening to the podcast. All the Answers podcast is, in fact, the best podcast that exists, so you've made a wise choice for yourself. Listen, are you interested in getting some divine light healing for yourself? Could you use some contact with beings of light that vibrate at a crazy high frequency? Have you always been curious about the light being races, the Arcturians, the Syrians, the Lumerians, the Pleiadians? Do you have no idea what those words mean? Maybe you want to join Katie Rubin for a 3-day healing retreat. The weekend of October 23rd, 2020, the year of craziness, in Sedona, Arizona. We will be gathering in person in Sedona for 3 days to up-level our frequency, heal our stuff, and just all around get lifted. Check us out, join us, email me directly, Katie Rubin herself, with any questions you might have. klrubin@gmail.com. K as in kiss, L as in love, R-U-B as in boy, I-N as in Nancy at gmail.com. Talk to you soon.
Welcome to that spiritual, actual, factual answers to questions he asking. You find them inside you, recite you, reciting the records of Akashic. We laughing, we drafting the passion through various. Time for that comedy, dramedy, all of the fanciest, catchiest acronyms. Listeners, listen, we traveling. Consciousness is always unraveling. The reading you're having is mapping you back to your natural habitat. Abracadabra, it's magicless, fascinating. To top it off, the host, all the classiest. Now, what were you asking for? All of the answers, what? All the answers.
Ready to start rapping?
Let's start rapping. So good to see you guys. Cassidy Brown.
Katie Rubin.
What's happening?
Life's pretty it's fallen into a bit of a, not rut is the wrong word, a little bit of a lull, which is nice. Like the show is open and is running. We're still rehearsing because we're having to replace an actor. So blah, 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 the show rehearsal, but a lot less. So I have a little more time on my hands and I'm just kind of easing back into stuff I like to do on my own. Some of which just includes like watching dumb TV, like checking out.
That's nice.
Yeah.
That's really nice.
Yeah.
Man, I'm so about dumb TV and checking out. Boy, oh, howdy, am I.
Yes, you are.
I mean, I don't know, man. This shit is really deep, what I do with people and then what we do here. And then also like just writing. I'm doing a lot of stand-up and writing stand-up. Like people think, fun times. It's hard. And it's actually quite deep. It's deep because I write jokes about like what matters. Like I did this whole Black Lives Matter show that was like fucking deep. Like it's deep.
So is it deep?
I'm just saying all the things I do they're not very like surface level. So it's actually important to me to have dumb TV to watch, because I don't know. I had a therapist at one point who used to say, she was like, it's called regenerative dissociation.
Oh, I'm glad they have a really like highfalutin title for it. It makes it sound like really important. Regenerative dissociation. I like that.
You could judge it as you can judge it.
Oh, I'm in. I'm all the way in. Don't get me wrong. I'm just appreciating that there's a name for it.
I know, right? I mean, honestly, I know we all kind of like in the world of smart people laugh at therapeutic lingo for things that just justifies things we want to do.
Right.
But I don't give a fuck.
Right.
I'm like, I think they come up with these terms because they're fucking useful and they're real. And the world is made of judgment and everybody thinks there's some right thing to do and some wrong thing to do. And there just isn't. There's like what works for you, right? I don't know.
Yeah.
Right? That's something I love about human design is it's so oriented toward the specifics of the individual. There's no teachings. It's not about what's the, how do you live? You, the broad you. There's
Right.
none of that. It's like, what's true for this individual?
And then what? Does it also give you like, you want to, you see that that's your tendency, and then it helps you to balance. You can go, do you want to shift that? Here's some ways, or do you just say, now that you can look at it, it allows you to decide whether or not you want to lean into that or work on that? Or
the whole thing of human design is sort of like the basic gist of it is like surrendering to what is the way. In other words, like if you look at your chart and you discover all these very complex subtleties about who you are as an individual, if you could be totally okay with each of those things and then be aware of them and where they want to play out in ways that don't work well for you, and ways that do work well for you, then you could choose to employ whichever thing you want to about yourself that's useful in any given moment. If you're aware of all of it, aware of your tendencies, aware of what doesn't work, aware of what does, like awareness, right? Of like how to use these different specific energies that you yourself have.
yeah,
That's the idea, is that you gain awareness, and they teach tools. I mean, the main tool is like, don't do anything that's out of your design. In other words, don't act incorrectly for you.
right.
But in order to know what that means, you have to know a lot about you.
Yeah. I mean, it kind of, that I love this topic because I feel like it touches on all that, like touches on therapy, it touches on Enneagram, all the ultimately, like knowing is a big part of it. Like knowing the source, knowing the reason, knowing the drive, knowing the fear, knowing the reason for the fear, knowing the source of the reason for the fear. But then there is also the moment of like, now
choosing.
that you know, what do you do with that? And like, like sometimes in therapy, I struggle with being like, I get so excited about a revelation, right?
Yeah.
But then I'm like, okay, I know that. Yeah. And that's, and then of course my therapist gives me tools to then go, sometimes she's like, that just is that okay? That's okay then. And then I'll,
Right.
and it helps me to sometimes, like you're saying, like accept it. Just be like, oh yeah. Oh, I've been judging that as a thing because I was thinking I should be coming from a different point of view. But then sometimes it plays out, like you said, in ways that you don't like or don't want, or that doesn't work, isn't.
Let me give you
useful.
an example of
Please
something,
do.
because this is so interesting. I mean, like at the moment where the human race figures itself out is going to be the moment where the whole planet explodes or something. Like, we're not going to, you know what I mean? I love that I give us a lot of credit for endeavoring to get any of this shit. Because don't you feel like the more you know you don't know, and the more there is to know, and you'll never know it all, so you may as well just die now.
Yeah.
Okay, here's
go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, and also sometimes the more you know, the more hopeless you can feel sometimes.
Yes.
Sometimes it's empowering to know, and sometimes it's terribly disempowering to know.
I wonder if that's like that first stage. Like, in other words, you know a thing, you learn a new thing or whatever, and you're like super disappointed that this is the way the thing is. But then you
Voting
go through
is corrupt. What?
I know. Well, I'm talking about things about yourself.
Deeper.
But yeah, not about the outer, but that's fair. But like, you learn something about yourself, you feel disappointed, but then you learn to work with it and you're not so disappointed. And I feel like that's the process of aging and gaining wisdom.
Mm-hmm.
Like as a kid, you're like, these are the ideals I want to live by and who I think I am and what I'm going to do. And all of that is based in some kind of fantasy realm of who knows what.
Yeah.
And then as you grow, you realize like you've got to adjust to this and that and adapt to this and that and surrender to these truths about yourself.
Yeah.
And then that's disappointing, but the other side of it is getting good at navigating it and being like a ninja at it. Like here, let me give this example. So the example I'm thinking of right now is there's like, I forgot. We're all three of us manifesting generators.
Right.
All right. Here's the thing about manifesting generators. Get ready for some not exciting news.
Uh-oh.
That once you get better at it, though, means good stuff. But it's a challenge. It's a challenge about being a manifesting generator. So they say that generators have to wait, we have to wait to respond.
Mhm.
We're all waiting through the emotional wave to respond. A manifesting generator has to wait extra long in order to not step on toes, cause conflicts, create problems, run into more problems later. In other words, and another thing about manifesting generators is we have this motor. There's like a motor down in the lower part of you could say the second chakra, just to keep it simple, but the low belly-ish area, splenic, sacral, something. We have this motor that's like, do it now, let's go, here we go, we're going to do it, we're doing it now. And the motor wants to go. Timing is everything. And not everyone has a motor that's like, do it, go, create it, down in the low belly. So learning to wait when you have a motor constantly running is hard because it's a motor. It's not like a meditating kitty cat. I'm just laying here.
Right.
It's a
not
motor.
An idling motor. It's a racing motor.
It's a running motor. And anyway, so that's one of the I find for myself. And by the way, I have some specific gates and channels that connect the parts of my lower blah, blah, blah in my human design, blah, 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 that I'm thinking about right now that make that more true for me. I have like even more pressure in my low motor gates that are like, go, 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 go. And it's not time to go. I have that times like 50. So when you ask the question, like, does it give you tools to blah, blah, blah? What it gave me was language for understanding why my entire life I have felt like I'm a horse at the gate about to run the fucking, what's it called, race that the horses, the Kentucky Derby. But there's no bunny on a stick to chase. And everyone around me is like, why don't you just sit on the couch
and
have
bunny.
A snack? Not even wait for the bunny, but like, what are you running for? And I'm like, because I'm a fucking racehorse. So now that I know that, and I know how these motors operate in the low belly, like this morning, for example, I was literally walking my dog through the park and feeling like, I gotta go. And then I realized, oh, those are my motors running. Cool. And then I breathe into my low belly in the place where I feel the motors. And I'm like, I don't actually have to go. That's just the motor running. And so by being with it, and knowing what it is. See, if I didn't know what it was, I would think I was doing something wrong by not acting on it. But now that I know what it is and how it only is correct when it's correct, that I have to wait for when it's correct to apply it, I'm not beating myself up constantly going like, why aren't you?
So you can still judge, and isn't really the right word, but you can still judge the motor and go, hey, okay, calm down. But it allows you to look at the motor instead of not even knowing that, not being aware that the motor's there.
Well, looking at the motor and making a choice around it is not judgment.
Right. That's true. But I guess that's what I'm saying. Judge isn't the right word, but like there is a sense of like being able to discern between useful motor and not useful motor.
I would say useful is even a judgment.
Timing.
So I would say being able to discern when to apply the motor.
I would agree with that.
Functions correctly.
Aha, that's a judgy word. Sorry.
It's not though, because functioning correctly doesn't have judgment in it. Functioning correctly just means literally it's functioning the way it's meant to function.
Right.
Like a motor in a car, when it's running the car is functioning correctly. It's not good, bad, right, or wrong because it's functioning correctly. It's just functioning correctly as a car is meant to function.
Gotcha.
So similarly, Katie Rubin is like functioning correctly when like the doors are open and someone asks me my point of view, or like, I don't know, the doors are open and someone says, come do this thing, and I go run. Or someone says run and I go, cool, I can run. But if people are like, we're not running right now, then I'm like, cool, I know now because I know who I am and I know a fair amount of my human design. I'm going to go over here and run because this motor needs to be applied to something. And I get that you don't want it right now, but I'm not going to make myself wrong just because you don't want the motor running. I have a motor running.
Yeah. I was in this rehearsal process. I had a lot of moments where I was like, I know the answer. why? Oh my God. You're figuring this out so slowly, and you're going, and whether it's my place or not, sometimes it was my place to go like, no, this, that, boom, boom, boom. Oh my God. Can we just do it like this? But sometimes I literally had to lie down like under my camera on the floor. In order to not burn my motor out, because my motor would but actually now, like, hearing that really helps. Like, next time I still might lie down on the floor, but I can do it without going, calm down, you asshole.
Yes.
Like, I can just say, they need to work that out. You lie down on the floor.
That's right. I am a motor that is running, and I can, you know what else I do that's even better than sometimes for me in this case like that, less frustrating for me, is to apply the motor to something I actually can control in the moment.
Right.
So you're in rehearsal, they're figuring it out slow. I would turn my camera off and like send a bunch of emails.
Right. I
because
can't turn
the
my
motor,
camera. Right. Yeah,
I'm just saying.
Your point being, yeah. And that would be something I would do, is I just like, I got to go to a different task for a little while because I can't stay engaged at the speed they're working.
Oof. I really, really hear that so loud and clear.
And I don't want to judge their speed either. I don't want to be like, you dumbasses, because that doesn't feel right either. That feels...
That's the difference between judgment and choice. You can make a choice about what you don't want to do without judging other people. But humanity teaches, we learn this idea that, like, in order to be doing something different from the people near me, either I'm wrong or you're wrong.
Right, rather than
but it's not that
or operate. Yeah, it's just like,
it's
you're
like,
doing that, I'm doing this.
Right now, I need this and you need this, and we're going to need different things, and nobody's wrong. But we think in order to take care of ourselves or to separate from the tribe or the clan in any given 2-second increment of time, somebody has to be wrong. And usually it's ourselves. And if it's not ourselves, it's them. But it's like, so my practice is always, and I say practice because boy, is it a practice, coming back to, oh, okay, I just need this right now. They need that. I'm going to do this. They can do that. Nobody's wrong. I mean, just telling myself that, talking myself through that, because the judgment makes me feel, they taught me in Sufi school that judgment always separates you from the people around you. And it explained everything in my life of why I was so confused for so long in my younger years of like, what was happening with people. And I realized when people judge, after they taught me that hard feeling I was feeling in my heart was them judging me. And it does hurt to be judged. It hurts. So then, because I see that hurts when they do it to me, my little narcissistic brain has to go like, well, let's practice not doing that to other people because it hurts them too to be judged. And it's like people, so what'll happen is you teach people not to judge, and then they never make any choices for themselves anymore. Because we think that if I'm not judging, now I just go with the flow, man, and do what other people do. That is not what we mean. Okay. What we mean is I don't make Cassidy wrong because we're doing different stuff. And I need to do this stuff right now that's different from him. He's good, I'm good, and we're doing different stuff.
Yeah, that struggle has been huge for me. Coming to terms with myself as a person who has always, kind of been the loud one in the room, taking charge, doing the things. My response to then doing less of that is then to stop advocating for myself altogether.
Yeah.
Or having a point of view altogether, or
100%.
Allowing my point of view to exist. Because I think that's associated with what you're saying. It's like the judgment. Well, if I stop, putting it out there, then I have to stop everything. Like I have to shut myself down. That's right. Right. I can still have choices and have agency and have a point of view.
It's also, they talk a lot about in human design being like, let's say you're standing in a room of people, they'll say, and you want everything in you as a manifesting generator wants to shout, do it this way, or whatever
so
wants
often
to shout, right?
Yeah.
What you do instead is you look around the room and you go, who actually wants this information? Does the room want this information? No. Does it want the information now? No. Is there room for the information now? Yes. I have an idea. So that it's about reading the energy of the room and going, it's like timing and placement. It's not that your point of view shouldn't be heard. It's that people like us just want to go like that right now because we have the thought now. So we want to say it now. And there's literally an engine of pressure in your body saying, say it now. And that's happening for real. So they talk about like the tool. If we're talking from the beginning here about like, what would the tool be? It's like, slow down, breathe, read the room. Who wants this info? Maybe it's the guy standing next to you wants it.
Yeah.
Maybe nobody wants it now, but 30 seconds later, they want it. And can you have your experience, know what you know, and wait a second before you say it and wait for the window of opportunity that feels like, oh, there's an opening here.
Right. Yeah. I also noticed that sometimes that particular thing you just described has been my experience of late quite often, of like wanting to blurt, like, do it this way. And I have found that when I haven't navigated it in a way that I feel good about, sometimes it will burst out in what sounds to me, and then I've checked with other people and they're like, not really, but it sounds to me like bitterness or sarcasm, where I'll be like, is that what we're going to do? You know, like instead I'll say, I'm just wondering, are we going to do it this way? And then later I'm like, God, what an asshole. And I feel really shitty. And I jump down my own throat.
Yeah.
I sent an apology email about one thing I said with a slight edge to it.
I relate to that.
And then everybody will be like, yeah, I didn't feel it that way at all. I actually thought it was actually appropriately timed. We needed to move on. And I appreciated your point of view.
Oh, like, man, I love it.
Okay.
Last night, I did that exact thing. My very sweet neighbor came down. She brings her dog down and our dogs play in the backyard. I don't know. We were talking about whatever the fuck we were talking about. And somehow I said, like, let me actually think of what the example was. Oh, I know. So she wanted to know how things are going in a particular relational dynamic I had been telling her about. And I really just didn't want to get into it at that moment. So I was like, I don't know. I don't even know. Let's talk about anything else. And so she's like, oh, okay. And then we talked about anything else. Now, 30 minutes later, she left. And I was like, why did I have to be so blunt? And why did I have to be I shut her down and I should have been. So I text her and I was like, hey, I hope that didn't sound too harsh. I really just meant that like, I'm kind of fried and don't have it in me to talk about that right now. But I hope it didn't sound like I was telling you that you're shitty for asking. And she was like, what are you talking about? What are you saying? You're fine. And that to me comes from a lifetime of having been told I'm too much. And every feeling I have and all the intensity and all the stuff that ends up being my greatest gifts in life. There are a lot of people who, and a part of it is that I've misapplied it and I have been too much for some people at certain times. So like learning, sometimes I am too direct or too much or too whatever for the individuals in the room at that moment. So the question becomes, what I've really had to sit with a lot is like, I'm not inherently in and of myself, universally, quote unquote, too much. And sometimes the intensity with which I communicate in a given moment for the other humans that happen to be standing in the room I'm in is more than they can receive.
Right. And that's a case of you being actually a sensitive, caring human being who does try to read the room and be in balance with as much as you can. So your awareness of that.
To deliver what can be received. Because it's because I've spent a lot of years just bulldozing and not giving a shit about. Yes, thank you very much. Bulldozing and not giving a shit about, or not even trying to care, just being mad about, why can't I just be me?
Yeah.
And then realizing like, I can be me. I'm dealing with other humans who like need the flavor of me to show up in a way they can receive it. And that doesn't make me wrong.
No. And you have those abilities, that version of you exists and is also another beautiful aspect of, you know what I mean? So it's not like you're lying. You're not like going, here's the lie version of me that you can handle.
Right.
you're able to, I think we contain multitudes. And I have to struggle with like, oh, actually this version, this overwhelming, rowdy, loud version is wonderful. And sometimes, no, this guy's the one. And they're both absolutely me. And that's hard for me sometimes to grasp, that like, oh, you're not being yourself right now if you're giving them a different version of yourself.
Oh, I see. Uh-huh.
And it's
right.
like, no, I actually think those are both very truthful versions. And there's also lie versions that I need to not present.
I got you. I have a different thing. I don't have that thing come up, but I know what you mean. That makes total sense to me. The one for me that comes up is I'm mad that I don't get to express what I want to express exactly as I want to express it in the moment.
Yeah.
And then I feel like I don't get to be me. I have to be some dialed down, you can handle it, watered down version of me that your little sensitive fucking whatever can handle. So then I'm mad.
Right.
But then what I've realized is like, if I can just dial it enough that you can hear it, the meanness that wants to be expressed is coming through. It's just not coming through exactly how I want. But frankly, I'll tell you the truth. It's part of why I still do stand-up comedy, is because that part of me does not have a place in this world.
Except for in comedy. And
Except
it's allowed.
Right there.
Because you're setting the rules then.
Well, the rules are already established.
But I mean, you're setting the tone. When you're on stage, you're like, this is the way I'm going to express it. You have chosen to sit here and be part of it. Yeah.
I'm doing this.
I love that.
And also now that you know what this is, you can leave, but I'm doing this. And then what I love about it is the audience you build over time is the people who want more of this.
Yeah.
So you're like, cool, you know what you're getting. Don't show up.
Sounds kind of like friendship. Isn't that kind of what friendship is, sort of, in some ways?
That's a good point.
Those people who choose to stick around for the most real version of you.
That's a really good point.
Should we bring on your friend?
Yeah, so Yvonne is here, and we'll bring her on in 2 seconds. I mean, what do I need to... Here, let's bring her on. I'll tell you, we'll talk about each other, and you'll learn who she is when she's
about
here.
Her in the moment.
In the moment. There's Yvonne Bethy. Yvonne Bethy.
Hi.
There she is. We were just sort of talking and I was going like, I'll tell you about Yvonne. And then I was like, no, we'll just bring Yvonne on and tell you about her through conversation. Hooray.
Hooray.
Thanks for being here, Yvonne.
Thank you for inviting me.
Just for context, so Yvonne and I know each other through Yvonne. The way I introduce you to people or talk about you is I call you like my producer. I'll say like Yvonne produces these healing events that I lead or channel during. So like we'll have 9 or 12 or 5 people in a room and I'm channeling for the whole group and bringing healing energy through for people. And Yvonne is like, I call her a co-producer. So she's gathered some people and I've gathered some people and she and I have collaborated on where we're going to do it and when. And she and I have collaborated on building the Facebook event and we're pulling from her pool of people and from my pool of people to co-create like spiritual healing events. And she's got a company called Inspired Events and Adventures. And you can check that out at inspiredeventsandadventures.com.
Right.
Is that right? Right. So we've been working together now. How long would you say?
I was just trying to remember, and it's been over a year.
Seems like it, right?
It has, because we've done so much.
We have done a lot. We have. Yeah. We just did a 3-day retreat here at my place in Benicia. Whoo-wee, that was intense.
That was amazingly intense. It was great.
Oh, that's good. I'm glad you felt that way. And so that's how Yvonne and I know each other. But, Cass, when I was thinking of having Yvonne on, I thought like Yvonne's got her own experience with, just as a human being, separate from me, has her own experience with like a lot of ET communications and spiritual stuff that's like out, quote unquote, out there that fits right in with what we're doing here. Yeah. Not to mention, I'm always excited to open Yvonne's records because she's such a light kind of being that it's easy to read her and fun to read her. But so I thought I would ask you some stuff, Yvonne, if you're okay with it, about your history with all this otherworldly stuff, if I may.
Okay, what kind of worldly stuff do you want to know? Because we've been in so much of this unworldly stuff.
No, that's what I said. Otherworldly.
Oh, otherworldly. Yeah.
So
okay.
I'm just going to ask you questions. Are you ready for
Good.
that? Okay,
Yes.
great. Well, so one thing, and for you, Cass, is that an example of what Yvonne and I will do on our own time together hanging out as humans. I just went up to her cabin this weekend in Arnold, California, and we opened the Akashic Records to talk with a race of aliens that Yvonne sees regularly, and that then up-leveled through our connection with them. They up-leveled the frequency of this lake that now when any human gets in that lake, it's a healing lake because of the work that she and I did with this race of light beings. And we'll talk about what the word alien means a little more in a second here. That's what she and I do for fun.
I played Parcheesi, and you guys.
No, that's cool. I get that. I'm with you.
Oh man, I love Parcheesi though. I could do some Parcheesi. But anyway, so one of the coolest things about this weekend for me with Yvonne was that she's been telling me stories for a few weeks now of this light, this bright light that she sees outside her window in the mornings. And she's been and I'll let you tell the story, Yvonne, but just for a little context, wrestling with herself about what the fuck am I looking at? What is that? And then she said she listened to our podcast and our episode with Peter, where Peter described the ships that he's seen as having a quote unquote otherworldly or unworldly or beyond worldly light. And she said that when she heard him say that, she's like, that's how I'm experiencing. That's what this light is like that I see at 5 a.m.
Uh-huh.
Then she started talking to it and communicating with it and learning all kinds of stuff. And then I went up to her freaking cabin and I saw the freaking light. Now I can talk about my experience of the light, which is a little bit mind-blowing, and I'll tell you about it. But did I miss anything in there, Yvonne?
There's a lot in there because when you did that meetup, we did that meetup together, they came through. And that's when we asked them to begin with. At your meetup is when I asked, what is that light? And what are they doing? And that's when
okay, hold on one second. So we got to give people context for what the meetup means. So
okay.
Here's the timeline, and you tell me if this is correct. The timeline is Yvonne is living her life. She and I are collaborating on projects, putting events together, going about her life, starting to see this light outside her window in the morning. What's that light? Wondering, what's that light? What's that light? Time goes by where she's wondering what that light is. Separate from that, she and I put a meetup together, which is like a free event for people to come and experience the healing work I do so that we can maybe inspire them with that work and funnel them into some of the workshops we do. At this one particular meetup that we recently did, it was a very small group. It was Yvonne, myself, a lady we know, and a strange lady, a stranger, a woman we'd never met before.
No judgment, not
no
strange
judgment,
like
just
judgment.
a fourth lady. So there were 4 of us on Zoom, just like right now. I opened the records for the group, and in that meetup with that group, Yvonne got a bunch of information about these guys. So what was the exact info you got in that meetup, Yvonne? Because I don't remember.
Oh, wow. Okay. That was when you go, oh, Yvonne, do you have a question? I go, yeah, I've been seeing this light, when I wake up, really early in the morning, or if I wake up in the night, I look out and it's amazing because it's not a random light. It's different looking. And I have these oak trees right out my window, and they always get in a space between the leaves of the branches where they know I can see it, which is weird. And I said, so who is this and what are they doing there? And so Katie goes into my records and there they are, the Mintakans.
Yeah.
Now, how did you know they were the Mintakans that were there? When you say there they are, people listening don't know what there they are means.
Okay. In my records, I had asked you who is there. And I asked, is this my soul family? Because from the work I do, I know that I am from, I'm really one of those beings. And, being in this body, living here for a reason, but I'm really one of them because they've introduced themselves to me as they are my real family.
Now,
So,
how and when did they introduce themselves to you as your real family?
a little over 2 years ago.
Yeah, tell us about that. What happened there?
Okay, it was at our very, very first retreat up in Arnold.
And when you say ours, you don't mean you and me.
Right. Yeah, my company. But of course, there were a lot of people involved. We had 2 practitioners, and the rest were all participants who came in. And so at the very first one, the first 2 were with these 2 women. And one was, she's a pretty well-known psychic medium in the area. And the other one is a shaman. And so after dinner, she just, she was going to give everybody readings. And when you think of a medium, you think your dead relatives are coming through. And for me, she totally freaking transformed. She looked different. She sat different. Her eyes were kind of fluttering. She was moving weird, and her voice became very loud and almost manly. It was a little frightening to see her. And then she'd move in a kind of robotic way. And she said, it was something like, do you ever wonder why you're so interested in the stars? And the funny thing was, every time I bring people up to the cabin at night when it gets dark, I always take people out on the front deck and we look up at the stars because they're so amazing. So obviously they knew I was obsessed with the stars and of the sky. And they said, that's because we are your real family. And I mean, this is so shocking. It's not like sinking in yet as I'm hearing this.
So you're saying that they're saying this through this woman who was a medium who was channeling this info for you. Okay. Then what happened?
And they kept, they just kept talking about this. And they said, we want you to come home, but you want to stay there for 2 more lifetimes. And, I can't remember everything that they said, but those are some of the biggies that I remember.
Okay.
And then, then they left her.
I see. So that was the first time you met them.
That was the first time I met them.
What was the second time?
The second time was at our second retreat up there.
Okay.
And it was with those same 2 practitioners, and they came through again like that.
Now, did they tell you at the time that they were called the Mintalkins, or did they tell you something else?
They didn't say. I mean, I was so shocked. I didn't ask. They didn't say. They just said they were my real family. And the shaman, who had lots of experiences with extraterrestrials, knew they were, light beings and all of that.
The woman who was channeling them for you?
No, the other one.
The other person. Okay. Here's a question for you, Yvonne, because I think this is what makes you special in my world. And what I think some people listening want to understand is what makes you believe these people? Like I experience you, Yvonne, as a very open-hearted, open-minded person.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering, you're in a room with this shaman and this medium, and you want to believe them because you're interested in this stuff and you're excited about it. But what happened that made it feel so shocking and surprising and true for you?
Well, shocking and surprising was the way they came through this one woman, and it was just, something that you couldn't imagine that would happen. Believable is because the shaman who was there had a lot of experience, and she knew exactly what was going on. And then in the second retreat, we were up. You know how when we were up there, Katie, sometimes it's hard to sleep up there because it's that portal. And we were up talking till all hours of the night on the second retreat. And there were 4 of us in that downstairs bedroom.
Oh, right. I love this story. Yeah.
And we looked out the window, and there was there's a meadow right across from my cabin, and there was this big beam of light shining down. We saw this big beam of light.
And there were 4 of you.
And there were 4 of us. And we're going, oh my God, what is it? Is that them? And so we ran from the bedroom. We all ran out of the bedroom to like the great room in front. And we looked out those windows to see if it looked the same, because we wanted to see what else could it be. And no, it is a beam, and it's coming from above.
And this is like a meadow that you look at regularly, and there's no lights there, and there's no buildings, and there's no light poles, and there's no airplane, and there's no helicopter. There's like nothing there ever.
Right. Okay. Exactly.
So there you are in the front room.
And we are seeing this beam of light. We're going, yes, it really is. Because we're trying to look from all these different windows that are facing that meadow. So we go back in the bedroom. And so I said to the woman who originally channeled them, I said, can you just get a feel for if these are, now I'm calling them the family, because that's who they introduce themselves. If this is the family out there. So lo and behold, they come through her again, and we're in our bedroom in the pitch black, with that booming male voice that comes out of her. And they said, yes, we are here. They're hearing everything we say. Yes, we are here. They said, but if you're afraid, we'll go away. And I said, no, we're not afraid, because I want to know what they were doing and what their purpose is. I go, what is your purpose? And they said, we are here to help you. And that's really all. I mean, I'm sure they said other things. That's all I remember. And then, the 4th person in the room got afraid. They said, she is scared. We will go. They said, we won't come back. And so they immediately laughed. And I go, no, you have to come back. You have to come back. And so in the morning.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
When they left, was it just that they left as a presence through the medium, or did you actually look and the light was gone?
Well, both. There was both. They left as a presence through the medium.
Uh-huh.
And see, I had never known her to do this full body channel thing before.
Interesting.
And so that was interesting.
What had she done before?
Getting in touch with either your dead relatives or, spirit guides or the divine or the universe or whatever she's calling it at that moment.
But just talking in her own voice, relaying information.
Always talking in her own voice and relaying messages.
Okay, so she leaves the medium, the light beam goes away. Is that right?
Yes.
And you all watched the light beam go away together?
Well, we all looked outside and didn't see a light beam there anymore. That's how that happened. So
now,
in the morning,
oh, go ahead.
I go, we've got to go out. We've got to go out and see the remnants that are left there. So I saw this big round where the beam came down. I saw the remnants of the light. The light was still there. It was bright in that one spot on those like wood chips that were there, but nobody else saw that bright.
Huh.
I was the only one who saw that.
You mean on the ground, the bottom part of the beam, the ground was lit up in the morning?
Yes.
But nobody else could see that.
Exactly. I couldn't believe it. And so we brought the shaman out, and she's like communicating with them. And she's telling us where the perimeter of the spaceship was. When you think of a flying saucer, that's what you would think of this. But the beam comes out from the middle. And she showed us where she saw where it left an impression, the larger flying saucer, where it left an impression on that area out there. And when she pointed that out, we all saw that. But I was the only one who could see that light beam in the middle. I mean, the remnants of the light from that beam in the middle.
Okay, now here is where I want to interject for just a second what you and I saw this weekend, because I think it's relevant. But then I want, after that, to go back to I want to know what your next interactions were with them, because this is like such a fun trajectory to kind of learn how it all kind of has been unfolding.
Yeah.
So cut to, this is like how much long, like 2 years later, 1 year later, 6 months later, when you and I go up to the cabin, Yvonne?
Well, this is 2 years later that you and I go up to the cabin.
Okay. So we'll go back in time in a second, but cut to
Okay.
2 years ahead. And I'm up there with you this past weekend.
Yeah.
And Yvonne's telling me these stories and she's like, we're probably going to see them when we're up here. Now, me, Katie, as you guys know, and as you know, Cassidy, like I tend to experience what human beings call aliens, okay, as conscious beings of light, some of which serve the light and some of which don't serve the light. And I like to talk about non-terrestrial, meaning not from Earth beings, as being just like people, in that there are some douchebags and there are some awesome ones. Like some of them like serve the divine and want to up-level the consciousness of people, and some of them just suck, just like people do. I only ever experienced those guys through the Akashic records as energy internally in a deep state of union with God through the Akashic records. So I'm not a person who's walking around reality going, look, there's a light.
Right.
I see an alien light, or with my eyes as a person with an ego. Just, I'm not Peter walking in the woods, right? Our friend Peter,
Right.
who was on the podcast, and there's a ship in front of me. Like I haven't had experiences like that. So there I am with Yvonne up in the hills this past weekend, in the mountains up there. And we had opened the records and I had communicated with these Mintakans for various reasons, because I was interested in them at this point, because they had come through not only in that meetup, but also in our retreat together really powerfully. Like they delivered a very strong healing energy in that healing retreat, which was really kind of mind-blowing to me. So we go to Yvonne's cabin, we open the records, I communicate with them. They tell us to do this thing with the lake, and we end up putting these crystals in this lake, and we communicate with them through the records, and they do a whole thing they did. And I'm like, that's very normal to me. That's just how I have always been communicating with this kind of thing. Well, later in one of the evenings, Yvonne says, Katie, come up here, come upstairs. She's on the second floor of her cabin. I'm on the first floor because that's where my bedroom was. It's late at night. It's like 10 maybe. I don't remember, Yvonne. And she says, Katie, come. And she was a little low volume. And I'm like, ooh, I'm going to see him. So I run upstairs and she says, look, there it is. And I look out the window and sure as shit, through the trees up at the top of this hill, where there are no houses, no light poles, there's no objects there, it's just trees. There's a super big, round, bright ass light. And Yvonne, this was like 2 days ago. And it's at a weird level. Like if you imagine the moon is really high and then you have stars all around the moon, it was lower than that. It was at the level of the trees. And it was casting a distinct beam from the origin of the light, the big round light, down to the ground.
So when you say origin of the light, you actually see like sort of an orb or a disc that's just there. That's where it starts.
It wasn't like an orb.
There's a definite starting place.
There's a definite starting place.
Like an edge in space, basically. There's a
like
border.
It's a circle like this, like a circle.
Okay.
Just a circle of bright light. Too bright and too close. Like it was too big to be a star because it was very big and close. Like if a star looks like a pinprick in the sky, like imagine a pinprick, everybody who's listening. That's a star. Now look at the size of your head. That's how big this circle was. It's a big circle, much bigger than any star near it, because it was so much closer than the stars. It's right there in the trees.
Right. I mean, sorry to be so technical. Does it seem like someone's, not that they did, but like the equivalent of like if someone had mounted a spotlight at the top of the tree and was shining from that fixture? Or is it just more above that, like from the firmament? I mean, not the firmament.
I hear what you're asking. Let me explain. It's not from the firmament, from the sky. Imagine tall pine trees.
Yeah.
Okay. Now think of the top of the pine trees, the tippy top.
Yeah.
Go down about 5 feet from there.
Okay.
Right there.
At
that height, there's a sphere of light that is not you know how a street lamp has a cover on the top and it's beaming straight down?
Yeah.
So the light is just coming down. It's not going up.
Yeah.
This was a round, like a sphere, round ball of light that didn't have a top. It's bright in every direction.
Gotcha.
And it's casting an active beam down to the ground that I can just see, just a very simple, the way that a street lamp would.
Yeah.
But additionally, it had a top layer. So it's not like covered on top the way a street lamp is.
It was sort of broadcasting all directions with a more focused beam going down.
Yeah, but it had distinct edges like your head does. Your head is a circle or a whatever it is. You know, think of a circle.
My head is infinite, Katie.
Okay.
Go on.
I see. I'm wrong.
Go on. Sorry to be so technical. I just want to get a good visual of this.
Yeah, so it's lower than the tips of the trees, not up in the sky, like lower than the tips of the trees. You with me on that?
Yeah.
And it's this big, fat, fucking bright ball of light. Now, Yvonne says to me a second ago, Katie, it was a pinprick of light. Now it's big. Now I'm thinking, are you sure it was just a pinprick a second ago? And we start chit-chatting and we talk to the thing. We're like, hi, guys, thanks for visiting. And we're chit-chatting. Well, we finished chit-chatting and guess what happened? Sorry, hold on. Dog on my shoulders. The circle before my eyes, let's say it's this big. I'm holding out my hands, listeners, to the size of my head. It went like this, boop, and vanished.
So it shrunk down to a pinprick and then went away.
Correct.
Nice. That's my response. Nice.
So anyway, I said to Yvonne, are there any houses up there? And you said, Yvonne,
no, there's no houses up there.
And you've been up there and looked and there's no houses?
Oh yeah. And then later in the night, I got up to go to the bathroom and I looked out and it was again a huge ball, but it was higher up in the sky, totally way, way, way above the trees this time. And it moves, it can be here or it can be there. So it was gigantic again, and it was higher up. And I thought, oh, should I wake Katie up? Because the night before I tried to wake Katie up. Oh, I texted her. I said, Katie, they're here. Come on up. And she didn't get the text or whatever.
No, I didn't get the text.
No.
I got it the next morning, but I didn't get it
the next morning.
Yeah. So, and then I was telling another friend of mine this, and she was like, so was it scary? Did it feel like a weird energy? And I was like, it didn't feel like anything. It just felt like a bright light that seemed very strange. The size of it, I wish I could explain. It's kind of like if you look at a lamp, for example, let's say somebody's shining a lamp in a window of a house. It's a certain size. And then if you look at like a street lamp, that's a certain size. If you look at a star, that's a certain size. This was its own size. It wasn't the size of a lamp, and it wasn't the size of a street lamp, and it wasn't the size of somebody shining a bright light. If somebody were shining a bright light like that in that direction, it would have to hit up against something in order to shine. Right. If you shine a beam of light, it has to hit a surface, and then it shows up as a beam and a flatness. That's how light shows up. This was a floating circle sphere orb of very bright light.
Generating its own light going outward from it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's just a little more context. So now we're going back, Yvonne, to your story. Now you've met them twice at the two different retreats up in the cabin. And then when did you meet them after that?
I told you about my friend who does the night watches.
Uh-huh.
And I thought she is an expert. She is an expert on this. So I wanted to talk to her about it. So we got together, we talked about it. And I said, we saw the beam coming down. And she knows all. She goes, okay, this is what happens. The starship, the edges of the starship are real big, just like our shaman told us. And then the beam comes out from under it. So it was very validating that all of this information is making sense.
Okay, real quick. Mm-hmm. A, who is your friend that does the night watch? And B, what is a night watch for people listening who don't know what those?
Her name is Tana. And Thank you. And a night watch is going somewhere and, hiking somewhere where there aren't a lot of lights so you can see the sky really well. She has military grade goggles or something where you can see a lot in the sky. And so
they're like binoculars that you put on your eyes.
Binoculars, right?
And they're military grade and they see infrared.
I don't know if it's infrared.
Okay.
It looks kind of green. It looks kind of a greenish tint.
Yeah.
So night vision.
They're night vision goggles is what they are.
They're night vision goggles. Exactly.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. But they're military grade ones. So you can see a heck of a lot. And so she takes people up there and she's very, very connected to the extraterrestrials. So she takes people up so they can see them. And then she has this little wand with a beam of light at the end of it where she's used to looking at them. And like for me, I'd never looked for one before, so I didn't know what to look for. But once you see one, my first reaction was, oh my God. She goes, oh, you can always tell when somebody sees their first one. They always say, oh my God. And you can see it. And she explains everything ahead of time, how it works, what you're looking for, what airplanes look like, because they always have a flashing light. And Katie's going to have a story about that too, because the first night we were up there, we actually saw one with the naked eye, which is very unusual. But it's like, if I ask him for one, I'll get one. Because then in subsequent retreats, when we go out, I'll say, let's see if we can see, a starship. And we always do.
Yeah. So
which is cool.
Your friend Tana, who took you on your first night watch, she taught you the difference between when you're looking at a star versus when you're looking at a ship versus when you're looking at an airplane versus she taught you the difference between what they look like.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what were the words she used to describe how you're looking at a ship? What do they look like according to her?
Well, she pointed it out, showed you where it was, and you would take a look at it and you would see the way it moves is very different.
And how does it move? Yeah.
It is so far away, yet it moves so fast. It's like way, way, way faster than an airplane and way, way, way further away than an airplane. So once you experience seeing it, then you say, oh, okay, that's what they look like.
I see.
And then it's amazing how many there are.
Okay. So you told your friend Tana, hey, I've been experiencing this stuff. You go on the night watch. She shows you what the ships look like and what's an airplane. And then what happens with you and the Mintakans?
She actually also channels she does a full body channel of a Pleiadian.
Uh-huh.
And, and this was something kind of new for her. And I said, I would love to see it because I'd love to talk to her. It's like a female energy who comes through.
And for people who don't know, the Pleiadians are a race of light beings that have a planet. So normal people call that quote unquote an alien. What we mean, what I experience as quote unquote aliens is just they're beings of light that live in a different realm of consciousness. That means they don't have to have a physical form with 3D duality, and they don't live on a planet like Earth. They live in a different vibrational realm, a different vibrational frequency. So that's what we're saying when we say ETs. That's what we're referring to. We're not talking about characters that show up in 3D reality with a roundish, weird shaped head and they scare you like you see in the movies or whatever.
Right.
These are beings of light that just are sourced from a different dimension and that have different planets they call home or whatever. So this woman channels a Pleiadian, and the Pleiadians are a race of beings of light, just for people to know. So so you say to her, let's channel this Pleiadian, and then what happens?
And then I start asking questions. And she said, she told me I have a contract with them in this life. And I don't know, I can't remember all the information that like Tana channeled her several times for a group of us. And just trying to learn all of this. Mm-hmm. So in learning that, it's so funny how they are because they know what you're thinking. When we did that meetup before your retreat, I was wondering about my contract with them. I thought, I wonder what exactly my contract is.
Yeah.
And then I forgot to ask you, but they answered me anyway.
What did they say?
I wanted to know. And see, because sometimes Katie doesn't remember when she's telling you information. I think you were channeling them at that point. Yeah. And they said that what my contract here is to, be a part of up-leveling the planet and other people on the planet. Uh-huh. So with my events, this is what I'm doing.
But what does that have to do with your contract with them?
That is my contract with them because I'm apparently one of them.
I see.
And I'm inhuman. They also said, I think it was in that transmission that came through you, that they said to me, there should be like no part of you that believes you're a normal human being because I am one of them.
Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that my contract in being here.
Yeah. Okay. I get it.
In this lifetime.
Right. Is to contribute what they have to contribute to the planet that we're on.
Yes. In up-leveling the planet and the people.
That makes sense to me.
On our planet.
Okay. So then I remember you saying that, and I'm pushing us forward and kind of directing the story, Yvonne, just because I want to get to opening your records. So I'm just guiding us to that, just so you know why I'm doing this way. So between the person who channeled the Pleiadian, who talked to you about these guys, and you and I having that meetup, I seem to recall you had several encounters with them outside your window at your home in Danville. Is that right?
Yeah.
That was my next question. So you have experienced them not in Arnold.
Yes, exactly. And I think what sparked that, Katie, was, this last bunch was the time before that when I went to Arnold.
Yep.
They were there and they told me that I need to be on a vegan, whole food, plant-based diet.
And they told you through what means? Through your own hearing, through someone else?
I just got the download in my brain.
Okay, got it. And this was when you were up in Arnold or at home in Danville? I see.
I was up in Arnold and I got up at 3 a.m. because my son's cat was meowing. He wanted to be in bed. My son wasn't waking up. So I went out there and out that kitchen window, the light was so bright and I knew it was them. And that's when I got that information and I go, okay. And then when I got home, so I immediately started a vegan plant-based diet. And when I got home, since then, they were here every night.
Okay. And when you say here, you mean you're seeing that ball of light outside your window. Is that right?
Yes. Yeah.
And when you talk to them from your bedroom window, you get responses now. Is that right?
Yeah. Like one night, the light wasn't very bright.
Yeah.
And I go, oh, is that you guys? Because you're not very bright and you're not very big. Instantaneously, it got incredibly bright and incredibly huge. And I go, oh my God. They react instantaneously. They're amazing. Remember when they did those healings, Katie? And they were just instantaneous
Yeah.
and very, when they did some of the healings, they were so powerful. I actually got nauseous.
Okay, so here's what Yvonne's talking about when she says did some of the healings, for those people listening and for you, Cass. Thank you for all that context, by the way, Yvonne. That's really, we need that backstory for people to understand what we're talking about here. So a few weekends ago, Yvonne and I led we co-produced a 3-day healing workshop for people who came here in my apartment, and some people were on Zoom. And what I do is I open the Akashic records, and whatever forms of light want to come through to contribute to people, I'm just bringing them through. So as on the second day, I think it was, I started to get, and we need to open your records soon because these guys want to talk.
Okay.
But on that second day of the retreat, I started to get the sense very strongly just by being in the records a lot. We were in their records a lot of hours every day.
Yeah.
That these guys wanted to talk. And they were like, okay, take some time and make sure we get to talk through Yvonne. So I'm doing the healings and channeling and doing whatever I'm doing. And at a certain point I look at Yvonne because they were poking me like they're doing right now, by the way. And they were going like, you need to let us in. And I go, cool. So I turn to Yvonne and I go, do your guys want to talk now? Immediately.
Yes.
There was I'm just going to describe it how I experienced it, because remember, for people listening, nobody experiences any of this shit necessarily the same way. People receive information from beings beyond differently. Now, there are certain qualities that will be consistent across the different human experience, but you've got to remember that human beings are always experiencing things through their own filters of everything. Now, when I'm in the records, for me, that's a pretty direct experience of divine and source, but that doesn't mean that how I experience them in talk and light is going to be how someone else experiences it.
Right.
Okay. So I just want to say that. As soon as I said to Yvonne, do they want to come through? And she goes, oh, they're right here. They're working with me. Can you feel that? Immediately, it was as if, I keep describing it like this, if you imagine what a desert wind feels like, a dry desert wind, there's no humidity in it. And it's very direct and very kind of like if you ever stand in the desert and the wind hits you so sharp that it's like sharp.
Yeah.
It's like it hits you fast like that. And it's sharp, right? It was, the quality of light was like that, but sped up times 4,000. And that's the specific number I get. Sped up times 4,000, like a dry, characterless, qualityless light blew through my body, blew through the room, and started working on everyone in the room. I yawned for a while as what it was doing to me is it was up-leveling me to its frequency. It was like letting me be at its frequency. So it was clearing everything in my body, being, soul, spirit that was not of the frequency of them. In other words, they're such a high frequency, they wanted me to be able to access them. So in order to do that, they have to I'm not a Mintalkin. So if Yvonne's a Mintalkin, so she can talk to them and have them near her and they communicate and hooray. I'm not a Mintalkin, so they have to bring me to their frequency if I want to, that's the healing that's available for me. Other people in the room are crying and breaking down and having processes. Yvonne got nauseous. Rennie got a little nauseous. And Yvonne, I think you were nauseous until 11 p.m. that night. Is that right?
Yeah, it didn't leave me until 11:30 at night.
So it worked all of us differently, the way that we each needed to be worked.
Yeah.
And it was impressive to me because the whole time we're bringing divine light through and we're bringing whatever wants to come through. But these guys had a speedier, faster, drier quality. I'll put it like this. For me, I experience, let's take the Syrians and the Pleiadians and the Arcturians.
Mm-hmm.
Those are 3 different races of beings of light. The Syrians, to me, I experience them as being very straight up and down, and it's a red light. It's not always, but that's how I experience it. And it's very direct. It has a very strong, direct, straight up and down, red, kind of bright, strong, fiery quality. The Pleiadians have a kind of purple kind of quality. I don't know another way to describe it because that's how I experience it. The Arcturians are like if you put, oh my God, a purring leopard inside of your heart. Like the Arcturians are very heart-centered. They're greenish. I experience their love as love. It comes through my heart. It's very warm. It's kind of green. It's like a purring kitty cat in your heart. They're like so much love, the Arcturians. So you can see those are 3 different qualities, right? The fucking Mintakans were like, erase all qualities. There are no more qualities here. They're like space, just space, like empty space that is sort of moving and is so high frequency you can attach no description to it. There's no qualities. It doesn't have any fucking qualities. So that's what blew me away about the Mintakans, Yvonne, is they're qualityless.
Yeah.
So
right. But very, very powerful, fast energy.
That's the point.
Oh.
That's the point. Yeah, they're pretty freaking amazing. I think we should open your records and then ask whatever you want to ask. How does that sound?
Okay, that sounds good.
All right. Cass, anything?
No.
Questions, thoughts, craziness?
Just following along.
Okay.
I'm trying to hold the imagery in my head mostly.
I got
a lot of different frameworks.
Yeah, Yvonne, Bethy. Yvonne, you don't have a middle name, right?
Yeah, Marie. Yvonne Marie.
Yep. I always forget. Hold on. All right, man. They're like, hurry it up, Ruben. I'm like, okay, here we go.
There's that damn motor.
Well, that's not.
I know.
No. Well, yeah, this is more like them being like, go,
that's
go,
an
go,
external.
Go. Yeah. Okay. So let's close our eyes and take some deep breaths into the low belly, Yvonne.
Yeah.
Releasing all attachment to 3D reality. It exists, but we're not attached to it. Feeling the bottoms of our feet in contact with the earth as we continue to inhale into the low belly. Okay, and they want me to go right for it. So we do acknowledge the forces of light. Keep breathing into your low belly. Feel the bottoms of your feet. Asking for guidance, direction, and courage to know the truth as it is revealed for our highest good and the highest good of everyone connected to us. Holy Spirit of God, protect me, Katie, from all forms of self-centeredness. And please direct my attention to the work at hand. Help me to know Yvonne Marie Bethy in the light of the Akashic Records, to see Yvonne Marie Bethy through the eyes of the Lords of the Records, and enable me to share the wisdom and compassion that the masters, teachers, and loved ones of Yvonne Marie Bethy have for Yvonne Marie Bethy. And I'll go quiet for just a moment. If people are wondering, this is the pathway prayer process to access the heart of the Akashic Records by Dr. Linda Howe. If people are curious, and you can go to akashicstudies.com to learn more about Linda Howe. This is her prayer. I use different prayers depending on the day. All right, so the records are now open for Yvonne Marie Bethy. And so I'm asking that you deepen both Yvonne herself and myself into Yvonne's Akashic Records. I ask that you open all the chakras, 1 through 8 first, 1 through 7, and then 8, in Yvonne's body and my body, and then 9 and above, all the chakras above, and then expand our energy fields infinitely in every direction that we may perceive, receive, know anything the Mintakans or any other beings of light desire us to know. Okay. All right, Yvonne. Are they with you? Do they want to say anything? Do you have any questions for them? What's happening for you, Yvonne?
Yeah, they have been with me since before you opened the records. When you were talking about opening, they were right here.
Okay.
And one question arose, and I'm wondering why, when we're contacting them, when
Jesus
Katie's contacting
Christ.
them through my...
Sorry, hold on a second, Yvonne.
Okay.
My cat just leapt up on the fucking desk and knocked my microphone over. Can you still hear me okay?
Yes.
That was terrifying because of where I'm sitting energetically. Jesus Christ on the cross. All right, I'm sorry. You were saying, I'm so sorry.
Okay. When the healings come through Katie, when the Montakans give me a healing and whoever else is there through Katie, why are they so much stronger? I mean, the first few times I was literally sitting in front of my computer. I literally had to hold on to my computer.
Okay.
Stay still.
When you say stronger, you mean stronger than what?
It's the most powerful, energy that I've ever felt.
But when stronger than what? Stronger than when other people channel them?
Stronger when they're just working with me.
Okay. 1, this beloved called Katie Rubin is a healer. She is made up as a healer. Her dharma in this lifetime is to bring healing. She doesn't always like that, but that's her thing. So Allah. So here we go. We're going to do some healing now.
Ooh.
God in heaven. Ya Shafi al-Alim. Receive this, Cassidy. You can have this as well if you open your fucking heart and your mind, please. Forgive the language. Allah. This is big energy. Through the midline of the body, soften the heart. Imagine a bright, qualityless light blowing through you. Everyone listening now. Okay, so this beloved is created as healer. So she is just master healer. This is her gift. Other people have the ability to channel beings, light, dead people. That doesn't mean they can embody the light and then transmit it back in a way that will transform you. That's not what all people can do. Just because people can tap in psychically to what we have to say or deliver as content does not mean they can hold the light and transmit it in a healing capacity. Now, Katie's energy field is also large, bright, loud, as you can see, and strong. She also has, frankly, done a fair amount of healing work for herself. So she vibrates at the frequency of a space that can transmit that which the individual requires. The other people channeling for you haven't done quite as much work on their own inside realities. They are gifted at seeing, channeling information, but they can't hold in their own places in their bodies the kind of healing that we would bring through for you. How could they heal you if they can't receive the healing? So you can't receive something from someone that they can't hold. God, I feel like I'm yelling and running and on fire, but also made up of nothing right now. These guys are so intense. All right. Does that help, Yvonne?
Yeah.
Okay.
Totally gives me my answer.
Okay. Now I'm just adjusting this microphone because the cat. Okay. Other questions, Yvonne?
Okay. For the Mintakans, what is my next with Inspired Events and Adventures up-leveling? And what and when?
What do you mean specifically?
They're always up-leveling my energy, and with me comes my business, Inspired Events and Adventures. And right now I'm going through an up-leveling in my business.
So what specifically are you wondering about with regard to your business? Specific. Please.
Well, the changes that are starting to take place, I want to know if they're going to be helping me in this and what my next steps are.
Well, they're like, no, we're not helping you. No next step. I'm not sure what that. So look, they're saying, we gave you all this. You know what you're doing. You're dying to your old self. Okay. You can no longer work with people. You already know this, with people who drag you down or exhaust you or who can't really hold the light.
Right.
Now, what this means is you're going to have to be willing to sacrifice what will seem to you like external volume for internal quality.
Okay.
You'll give up lots and lots and lots outside to gain more and more and more inside. But you have to sit here at this vibrational frequency for a while.
Okay.
And come to understand what it is to live here as this energy and to create as this energy.
Okay.
There is a different kind of creation being born through you now, which does not include pushing.
Right.
And salesing. You will not be required to do all of that. You will be required to simply be, tell some people, you go to the place, you meet a person, in other words, visualize this. One person, you might meet one person who opens the door to 1,800 other things. That means you don't have to work so hard.
Right.
You keep thinking, I got to have 50 people under me so I can send them all out and they'll get 50 people. And then we have all this people. Listen, if you have 50,000 shitty people, you will get no closer to the consciousness you're actually trying to embody.
Okay.
But if you have one high-powered engine, you can fly to the moon.
Okay, cool.
So stop thinking quantity and start thinking quality.
Okay.
Only. And trust that as you follow the energy of quality, more quality products or individuals will show up.
Okay, cool.
You see, you become a magnet of that which you are.
Right.
So you need to live longer as this up-leveled new vibration that you are. And we'll tell you, beloved, you've got some more to do yourself a little bit, okay? Where we're going to keep working you a bit, and some more sessions where you're a little nauseous after, and we're going to clear the midline a little more, and we're going to clear some past lifey stuff. And by the way, we're doing it right now.
Okay.
And we're going to clear the brainstem a little more.
Okay.
Okay. Now there's some also this there's this old paradigm of how selling works that doesn't work for you anymore. It doesn't work anymore. You have to give it up entirely. Okay. Now we understand it's difficult because then you go, well, what do I replace it with?
Right.
And the answer is you become a black hole, but it's a white hole.
Okay.
In other words, you become a black hole. What do black holes do? They suck things into them.
Right.
You're becoming a big white light black hole where you're just going to walk down the street and the next person you meet is another high-level healer who blah, 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 blah. But also, beloved, please, you have to stop thinking of, how do I say, your business as being this like separate, as being this, how do I say, hold your business in your consciousness like a big, spacious, bright field of light.
Okay.
In the same way that you yourself, Yvonne, are becoming a big, spacious, bright field of light. This will make more sense to you once you have integrated what we have already delivered and are continuing to deliver to you. That is to say, after some time, some months even, months, where we're delivering light to you and you've received it and it's integrating through your being, you're going to not even recognize yourself. You're going to be so peaceful and so awake and so full of energy and so fast moving, just like we are, just like this energy right here, how intense this is, right? You won't even recognize yourself, but you have to become that. And then your business will just be that as well. So the main hint we can give you is do nothing. Do nothing that does not come to you organically, easily, magically, quickly, and in a way that mirrors this energy right here. You feel it?
Yes, of course.
Okay, so if it does not come to you like this, ping, 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 don't do it.
Okay.
You are not, this is what we meant last time we channeled for you in the, with Katie here, is that this is the way that we mean that you are not a regular person. You keep looking outside yourself, beloved, at other regular people and going, how are they building a business? And we're going, you're not a person who needs to look outside like that anymore. You're a walking field of consciousness. You're like a walking black hole, but of white light. Stop looking to what normal people do to create things. All you have to do is look to us.
Okay.
So the next indicated action assignment is simply keep becoming what we've already given you. Become the space, the vast space of bright white light that magnetizes to itself magical miracles. Like you've already been you've told Katie stories of lately. You're just like, I go here and then my neighbor is also an alien guy. And then I go over here and this weird miracle happened. And then, I mean, how did you meet Katie? She contacted you out of nowhere.
Exactly.
How hard was it? Not hard at all.
Right.
She just dropped in your lap, didn't she?
Yep.
Okay. And so it is. That's what you're looking for.
Okay, cool. Should I spend more time up at the cabin?
It's not necessary. We're with you all the time.
Okay.
Yeah, there's no separation anymore.
All right.
It's not here or there or da. The thing about the cabin is you get to feel the spaciousness of the energy that you are. This is you that you're aware of when you go up there. It's that when you're down here in the density of this reality of Danville, wherever what you're feeling down here is Danville.
Okay.
You're feeling Danville more than you're feeling you. And that's not because of a problem in you. That's because that's what happens for people who are light workers and who are perceptive. You're perceiving that which is around you.
Okay.
Okay. So when you're up in nature and in a portal of light, like your cabin and your land are up there, you're just perceiving your own alignment with that light. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Great. This dog here is barking at something. You okay? She's okay. Okay. All right. Wow. Other questions?
Okay. I would like to feel that which I feel up at the cabin here. I don't feel that here.
You can't.
Okay.
Could she ever? No, because you just can't.
Okay. Okay.
It's sort of like, let me just sit with that for a second.
Okay.
Because there are other teachings where they say you can. So why can't she? Could she one day? No. Could she one day? Will she one day? Okay. You can develop a spiritual practice that will allow you to experience this kind of alignment over time. Once you've strengthened your spiritual alignment, okay, through connecting to spirit and then connecting to us through spirit, you can, just like we're sitting here right now. Listen, when Katie hangs up the phone later, the Zoom, whatever, she's not going to feel like this all day. She'll feel like this for a while until she gets back into life. And then she's equating with the world around her. That's what people do. So in order to feel more like this, you've got to develop, you have to have a spiritual connection where you go and you sit and maybe you open the record, you do a something that takes you to this place.
All right.
And then when you contract downward, it's because you've aligned energetically or felt into, because you are an empath, you're going to feel everybody's everything around you. And there's no way for you not to. So when you need to recharge, you go up to the cabin.
Okay.
When you feel called, you go up to the cabin. But in the meantime, trust that is it so how you can become the Katie of your life by developing more of a constant and consistent spiritual practice. See, part of what's happening here in this moment is I know, doggy. I know the doggy is giving us so much attention. Our energetic frequency transmits more effectively through the fractal of Katie Rubin because she's so busy being the energy of source.
Okay.
She's the energy of source. She spent her whole life dedicated to, how do I purify my human self so I can just be the light of God? Now, people hear that and they go, well, she seems like kind of a loud bitch. And it's like, yeah, that's because you think you have ideas in your mind about what God is. God is an energetic frequency, the source from which all things are created. It's not a personality type. It doesn't come out one way through the system called a human mammal. Human mammal ecosystem has its own little flavor and its own preferences, and it wears outfits that are like this, not like that. But that's not God. So when a human being spends time, hours and hours a day, making the cells of their body resonant with the frequency of the divine, they become, and if they have a particular spiritual lineage, and if they have a particular proclivity, and if it's part of their dharma, and if the soul alignment is correct, and if the timing is right, if it's meant to be, then that person who spends time doing that can become a transistor rod for frequencies like this. So if you'd like to be a transistor rod where you can experience this frequency more, spend more time connecting to source.
Okay.
And spend more time connecting to us, but in a deep soul level meditative way, not just like chit chat at the window in the kitchen. You got to like sit down, open the chakras, meditate, relax, receive the light, open to the light, receive the light, sit with it, notice things. Like it takes time.
Okay.
Committed, concerted effort and time. Now they're showing me, Yvonne, there is a energetic transmission YouTube video I'm going to send you. I sent this one to someone in the retreat. I can't remember who, but they had me send it to her as well. Now, let me just see here for a second. You want me to send her that? Okay. This is a Syrian divine light transmission YouTube thing, but don't worry about that. You need to get, if you listen to that video once a day, it's like an hour long. It's a long time, right? Or as often as you're willing, that will up-level you to the frequency of that. We are beyond that. But you can't get to us without establishing that first.
Okay.
Okay. So make that your homework for some time. And we're saying 30 minutes a day. It's an hour-long thing, but you'll do 30 minutes at least a day for 30 days. 33 days, of course, the Jesus number. Okay, we'd like to make this clarification. Katie Rubin here is just saying, I just want to say, I feel like I just want to apologize for this entire transmission because this feels like the pushiest, loudest, bossiest energy I've ever fucking been in my life. But I'm just saying that's them. It's them. And I'm just a loud channel for it. So I'm sorry. And they're like, great. You apologize. Now we're busy. Let's go on. Okay. So 33, Jesus. Okay. Here's what we were, boy. They're so fast, Yvonne. They're so fucking fast. All right. You know how you people on Earth think. You think there's these religions, and then there's these alien people, and then there's light beings, and then there's light languages, and then there's crystals, and it's all different stuff. Like you people have it broken down like there's the woo-woo metaphysical people, and then there's the alien people, and then there's the religious people, and then there's spiritual people, and those are all different things. Okay, get ready, world, because here's how it really fucking works. They're showing it to me, so now I'm just waiting for words. Think of it this way. Religion, spirituality, metaphysics, beings of light that people like to call aliens because they're alien to your little tiny fucking planet. We're not aliens. We're beings of light that we're only alien from your perspective, by the way. We exist not in relationship to you. That's very egocentric, but that's a different conversation. Okay. Religion, spirituality, beings of light from other dimensions or other planets or other places. Metaphysics, all of it, light languages. It's all different pieces of the alignment of everything. In other words, think of it like this. Here's an image for you. Down on the earth, back when we delivered religions to you, notice we delivered many. You have the main three and then many others. When we think of the main three, Judaism, Christianity, Islam, back when we delivered that to you, we delivered it through, and Egypt. They're talking about Egyptian magic. See, in the time of Egypt and in the location of Egypt, there wasn't this need for the fucking religion stuff. It was like a golden era on Earth where human beings could just receive directly from beings of light and not be so fucking tripped out by it. Okay, but not in Egypt. You needed a set of rules and structures so that you would be willing to practice something to soften your ego so you could receive the love, the unity, the peace, the oneness that what religions were designed to do by the beings of light. They were designed to bring love and unity, not to separate you. We gave them to you in different forms because you believe in your forms. You understand? You believe as humans that the Arab is different from the Jew, is different from the Christian. They're not. They're just human mammals from different parts of this globe who look different and sound different when they say words. But the material of the human is the same. But see, we were so compassionate of you at the time that we delivered the information to you in different languages with different styles and different books and people who wrote books down in different ways so that you could have it. Now, what did the humans do? They used it to dominate and control and manipulate and make money. Okay, missed the point a little bit. Great. So then we started to bring more awareness to the mystical practices that lie at the heart of the religious teachings. Have you noticed that the Sufis are the mystics of Islam, and that the Christian mystics are the mystics of Christianity, and that Kabbalah is the mysticism of Judaism? In other words, there's mystics at the heart of every religion. Now, the mystics separated themselves from the religions because the religions missed the point of their own religious teachings. They missed the whole point. The point was not to structure you in and box you in so tightly that everything was right, wrong, good, bad, judgment, so you never had a life or could breathe as a human being. The point was to have some structures and guidelines to protect your heart. Your heart is the portal through which the divine can communicate. That's how some people have a mystical practice, is directly through their heart. So the Sufis and the Kabbalists and the Christian mystics are directly knowing God without needing a priest or without needing to read books. They know God through practicing, connecting with God energetically through the body. But don't forget, the mystics were originally placed inside the religions. It wasn't separate, but it all got separated. Because the mind of the human, you worship your minds. Okay. Now, here's an image for you to hopefully make this make sense. Have we lost you? Are you still there?
No, I'm still here.
Okay. Are you tracking so far?
Yes.
Okay. Think of this image now. Down on the earth, you have a religion. Just picture the surface of the globe. And in some spot, there's a religion, and let's call it in the form of a book. So visualize an open book. And that's like the Bible, let's say, or the Quran, whichever fucking book you want. Now, beaming out of that book is a bright white light. And we're going to say that that's the light of God that human beings experience through mystical practice. Now, in a straight line up from that bright light that is emanating from the book, in a straight line up from that bright light, is the light of the light beings and the light languages that the light beings deliver. The light beings up in the air, up in the heavens, it's not like that, but we're giving you an image you'll understand. The light beings up in the heavens, they're trickling consciousness down into the mysticism through the mystics, into the holy books of the religion. But the religion, it goes religion, mysticism, alien languages, up into the consciousness of the all that is. It's all really one just bright ass light emanating in different shapes and forms. But what we deliver to you, for example, we the Mintakans, what we deliver to you is a very high frequency of light that most mystics at the center of most religions could not tolerate, receive, feel, connect with. I kissed this dog. There's a dog on my lap and I kissed her. Now, why could they not receive it? Most mystics in most religious practices, most mystics inside of most spiritual teachings. Why? Because they haven't spent time turning the molecules and cells of their body, being soul spirit, into the frequency of the divine. They haven't spent any time doing that. We delivered the original books and teachings to help give you guidelines for how to become the light. But you didn't use them that way. You used them to dominate and control each other and create systems of commerce. This was not the point. We're not saying there's a problem with commerce. We're saying there's a problem with how these teachings were used, employed, and disseminated. Now, does the picture seem complete to you now, Yvonne?
Yes.
What questions do you have?
So my beginning practice is going to be the Syrian.
Yes.
For 30 minutes for 33 days. That's my beginning practice.
Correct.
Okay, good.
And when you're in that alignment, okay, when you're doing that practice, invite us in. Say, hey, Mintuckins, are you here? And we'll say yes. And then ask, can I receive your light? Show me what your light feels like. And practice getting a feeling in your body of what we feel like. Don't look with your mind. Look with your feeling body sense, your felt sense. Okay.
Okay, cool.
All right, let me see. Is there anything else anybody out here wants us to hear? No. Cassidy, do you have any wackadoo, anything?
I don't know if I do. I don't have any, nothing's coming up for me right now, question-wise.
Okay.
I mean, I have a question about my own personal spiritual practice. I love that you were given a task practice.
Do you want one?
Yeah.
Okay.
If they've got one for me right now, I'm not open, but
No, I have access. Let's see. So can we get a daily spiritual practice for Cassidy Jamal Brown? Oh, Syrians, same link? No, different link. I'll give him one. The red one, they say. You want me to look for it and I'll know it when I see it? No. They're like, no, it's the red one. Okay. So you want him to listen to a YouTube? Nope. You want him to do Akashic Record? Nope. You want him to do, what do you mean by the red one? Okay, hold on one second. What time is it? 2:25. Okay, Lords, Masters, Teachers, please open the Akashic Records of Cassidy Jamal Brown. Please open the Akashic Records of Cassidy Jamal Brown. Please open the Akashic Records of Cassidy Jamal Brown. Great. Oh, I see. So first things first, you need to work on your first chakra. That's the red one. Okay. First chakra is the red chakra. They want you to work on the first chakra. Now, how is he going to work on the first chakra? Is it through like a YouTube-y soundy thing? No. Is it through healing work? No. Is it through meditating? Yes. All right. So here's what you do. Start like this. Visualize a bright red ball of light that looks like what's that? Oh, boy. It's not a perfect sphere that's round, but it's a little flattened on the top, like a saucer, like a spaceship saucer. But the consistency of it is like a bag of sand, but it's a bright red bag of sand shaped like a hockey puck, but that comes up in the middle and down in the middle on both sides.
Okay.
Like, you know what I mean? Like an oval, but.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
It's like an oval orb.
Yeah, that's it. That oval orb is bright red, and it is sitting, the top part that bulbs up is sitting inside your genital area. The bottom part that bulbs down is out of the body below your genital area. That is the first chakra. We'd like you to visualize that redness being there, like a bright red light is in that weighted sandbag that sits at your first chakra. Every day, sit and just visualize that red light there now in the form of the sandbag red thing. Now, as you do this, Cassidy, if you do it correctly and you relax long enough, okay, and we're going to give you a mantra. You're going to repeat a mantra down into the red sandbag, meaning you'll visualize it, and then you're going to say this mantra into the bag. Om. Very simple.
That's it?
Om. Sorry.
All right.
Wait a minute. But there's more to say. Just hang on. Om, O-N-G, Om, O-M. Okay. You're going to say om, 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 om into the red sandbag, which means you have to keep the image of the sandbag alive. You have to keep the image that it's red alive. You're going to feel into it and om, om, om. And Cassidy, you're going to have emotions come up. That's how you know you're in it. Don't stop when the emotions come up. Keep going for a full 30 minutes. Om, om. And as you sit there, you're going to get agitated. You're going to want to get up and think about stuff. And you're going to, I don't want to. You're going to have resistance. Say om into the resistance. Say om into the, I want to get up. But you have to find it in your body in order to say om into it. Do you understand?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. When you have said om into the resistance pieces and said om into the, I don't want to, and the fidgety, come back to the red sandbag and say om into that and expect more feelings to come up. Some days there will only be spaciousness and light. Some days there will be lots of feelings. Some days there will be pain and frustration and it will feel like nothing has happened at all. The point is to keep doing it no matter what. Start with 30 days. If you do this consistently, actually do it 30 minutes for 30 days, then you can check back in with us and we'll give you a new assignment. But if and only if you've actually done it for 30 days, because we know better with you than to move forward before you've done the first thing you need to do, because chances are good you might not do it. No judgment, just we know that's the way. And there's no going forward unless you do this first.
Okay.
What do you have to lose is what we offer.
Nothing.
Amen.
That's awesome. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, record keepers. Thank you, Cassidy's record keepers. Thank you, the beings of light, lords, masters, and teachers for Yvonne, Marie, Bethy, and Cassidy, and myself. Thank you, Min Talkins, for all that speed and power. Jesus. I ask that you return Yvonne and Cassidy's energy completely to themselves, individually, Cassidy's energy to himself, and Yvonne's energy to herself. The divine portal and the Akashic records for Yvonne Marie Bethy are now closed. Amen. The divine portal and the Akashic records for Cassidy Jamal Brown are now closed. Amen. Gosh. The divine portal and the Akashic records for Yvonne Marie Bethy and Cassidy Jamal Brown are now closed. Amen, amen, amen. The divine portal and the Akashic records for Cassidy Jamal Brown and Yvonne Marie Bethy are now closed. Amen, amen, amen. Oh my gosh, you guys, that was so wild. I could meditate just in the afterglow of that for a long time. I can barely keep my eyes open. Thank you, Yvonne. Those guys are so freaking strong.
You know it.
Like, what a gift you are in my life, bringing these guys through. And I'm so glad I can contribute in some way. And thank you for being with us today on the podcast.
Thank you so much. Thank both of you guys.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I loved hearing the specificity of your story and how almost very material it felt, like three-dimensional.
Yeah.
And not in the higher realms always, even though it's so that's interesting. I just really appreciate it.
Yeah. Thanks, Cass. All right. Well, in the interest of we have our new time limit structure, and we're trying to be good girls and boys for the sake of our editor, or the amazing Desmond. So we're gonna wrap it up here. But thank you, Yvonne, and thanks everybody.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Mwah, mwah.
Well,
bye, Yvonne. Have a great day. I'll be in touch.
Thank you. You too. Yes.
Okay. I'll
Bye-bye.
talk to you soon. Come up here then. All right.
well, that was a lot of fun. Thank you. You don't always lean. Sometimes you're like, no, I think I'm supposed to ask Cass if he has a question too. Like, I always find it interesting when you're directed.
But didn't
in that way.
We did ask for you at the end, didn't we?
That's what I'm saying. You don't always have to. There's no need for it. But today it felt like you were maybe called to say, oh, also we need Cass to ask a question or something. That's how it felt.
Yeah.
It wasn't just you going, what do you think?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was like, I guess I'll take an instruction manual if you got one.
I was so happy to hear you ask that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's great. I loved it.
That's cool.
I wrote it all down while you were telling me.
Sweet. That sandbag image was interesting.
Yeah.
I've not heard that before.
Yeah.
it makes sense to me why and how. It's just, that was neat. I don't think I could have come up with that. I couldn't have come up with that.
Great.
Wow.
Well, team.
I mean,
Yeah.
like, I just have to say, it's a little weird sometimes, these moments after, because that was so fucking incredible for me that I'm like, I do want to know how it was for you, because it was so beyond for me that I'm like, what happened over there?
I would say it felt, I mean, it didn't feel super crazy because we weren't experiencing what you were experiencing per se. I could tell that you were like, almost like just kind of just containing it. And like it had to come out so fast and you were a little overwhelmed, which is not something I usually see in you.
Yeah.
But it didn't, I mean, I wasn't receiving personally like, oh my God, it's too much. But I find it interesting that even though it is a different topic than what we started with, but that we're drawn to begin our conversation this morning with the idea of too much. You know what I mean? When are things too much? How are we presenting ourselves? When is it the right time to come out with this energy versus this energy? Like we came into the day with that, and then they came down like, this is why you were talking about that, because we're about to give you what's almost too much. And it's not.
Wow, that's interesting.
This is just my takeaway.
That's really interesting. I love that.
Yeah.
That's really good. Thank you. Yeah. 100%.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Like I was watching you be a little overwhelmed.
They move so fast and they give information from 18 different directions at once, and they want me to say it all. And I'm like, well, okay, but it's a lot. So then I'm trying, and then there's frustration from them. And I'm like, but I'm okay, I'm coming. But I think like the intensity it's intense to us because it's so fast and strong and clear. And we don't tend to walk around that fast and strong and clear. So then to squish that kind of fast strength clarity through a human
mouth
system is
yeah. It's great. It's good, I think. But it was also some of the just, again, one of the more sort of simple and clear, like, here's what you do. Here's what you need to know. What the fuck is the problem? Why don't you know this?
Right.
It's this. Right. That's all it is. I don't know why. Why are we arguing? Get on it. Let's do it. Do your work.
Good. Yeah, do your work.
Do your work.
You did it. Do your work.
What are you asking for? All of the answers? Say what? All of the answers? Yeah, all the answers.
Hey guys, thanks for listening. We'd love to hear from you. Please email us with your questions so that we have questions to answer in the Akashic Records. Our email address is allanswerspod@gmail.com. That's allanswerspod@gmail.com. And if you'd like to find us on Facebook or Twitter, it's @allanswerspod, @allanswerspod. Thank you. I don't know what's happening.
That was a Sounds Awesome production.